NVIDIA's Quadro series of GPUs was designed specifically for CAD, CGI, and digital content creation tasks. The first Quadro card was released in the year 2000, but NVIDIA has since moved away from the Quadro branding with their professional workstation GPUs. Quadro video cards use the same silicon as NVIDIA's G4 series cards, but contain ECC video memory and are better for productivity tasks. Today, we are going to look at the NVIDIA Quadro K620. This card was released in July 2014 and is based off the same processing unit as the GeForce 750 Ti. The K620 was released with an MSRP of $150, but today these cards can be had on the used market for as little as $20. I got mine for $25 a few months ago for a small form factor PC that I did not end up using it with. The Quadro K620 shipped with 2GB of DDR3 memory clocked at 900 MHz on a 128 bus width. The core clock speed of 1058 MHz is able to boost up to a clock speed of 1124 MHz. Video outputs for this card include DisplayPort and DVI. Due to the low TDP of 45 watts and its ability to pull all of its needed power from the PCIe slot, this card does not need supplemental power from a power supply, making it compatible in systems with low wattage PSUs. This, along with the aforementioned used market price, makes the Quadro K620 an interesting GPU option for something like a small form factor or older workstation PC. Obviously, it will have no issue with basic tasks like video output, productivity, and web browsing. But can a video card like this play games in 2023? In an attempt to answer this question, I must first temper your expectations. This card is in no way going to be able to perform well in newer graphically intense games with competitively high frame rates. However, at resolutions of 720p and even 1080p in some titles, it may perform well enough for me to recommend it to the casual gamer who just wants to play some older or easier to run games. My test bench for the K620 includes a 4-core, 8-threaded Intel Core i7-4790K with 16GB of DDR3 RAM clocked at 1333 MHz. The operating system I'll be using is Windows 10 running on an SSD. Additionally, there was no overclocking done, so all the components are running at their stock settings. Firstly, I wanted to run the K620 through synthetic benchmarking to get an idea of what it can do. In Unigine Heaven, at 1080p low preset, it achieved 43 FPS with a 1% low of 20 FPS. Unigine Superposition was tougher on this card as it only managed 20 FPS average and dipped to a 1% low of 2 FPS on 1080p low. For in-game benchmarks, I wanted to start with games I knew this card would be able to run at over 60 frames per second. Grand Theft Auto 5 at 720p medium settings with FXAA enabled resulted in a great experience of frame rates ranging from 85 all the way to around 100 FPS. Personally, I have no issue playing a game like GTA at this resolution, but I wanted to see what it could do at 1080p. At Full HD with the same settings, the Quadro K620 managed a playable frame rate in the upper 40s, and only fell into around the upper 30s during my testing. This was an impressive result as this card was released about the same time as GTA 5 and is not even optimized for gaming. Next up, I tested CSGO at 1080p medium preset. I hopped into a bot match and experienced frame rates in the mid to upper 60s for most of the match. In Rocket League at 1080p with the performance preset, I got frame rates in the 70s and 80s. Although the visuals were not great, I found this to be a good experience overall. Next, I experimented with Fortnite at 1080p low settings with FXAA on, but forgot to remove the 30 FPS cap. The performance was only borderline playable, so I dropped the resolution to 720p and TSR to low and achieved a solid and playable result of about 60 FPS during the match. Next, I wanted to push the limits of this card some more and see if it could handle any of the harder games to run even for more modern hardware. In Horizon Zero Dawn benchmark, the K620 could only muster a 25 FPS average and a 12 FPS 1% low at the 720p low preset. This result was actually a bit better than I had expected, but needless to say, I would not recommend this card to play Horizon Zero Dawn. Lastly, the Cyberpunk 2077 benchmark yielded an even worse result at 720p low preset. The K620 could not even achieve an average of 20 FPS. After concluding this testing, my hypothesized use for NVIDIA's Quadro K620 seems valid. If you are someone looking for a super cheap graphics card to run in a lower end or older system and you only need it for, at most, some light casual gaming, I could probably recommend this card for you, but mostly for its current $20 price tag. If you have $10 to $20 more to spend, you could probably get something like an HP OEM RX 460, which I made a video on recently. The 460 would provide an overall better experience and price to performance. Regardless, if you enjoy games like GTA 5, CSGO, Rocket League, and Fortnite, and are okay with some lower quality settings, frame rates, and resolutions, I cannot give you a reason why the K620 is a bad purchase. For a card released in 2014, even running some more modern titles is impressive. It goes to show you that you don't always need the most expensive and high-end PC hardware to get the job done. Sometimes the ultra-budget route is the right way to go. If you enjoy this sort of content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. I plan on testing more budget hardware and sharing my results in the future.